Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm your big sis Nikki, and today we're going to talk about not talk about, we're going to rank popular romance movies and also the sex scenes. Because I thought it was only appropriate because the movies are very much focused on sex, so I thought why not yellow? Anyways, yeah. So, let's get right back onto it. And there are supposed to be like 5 rows. I hope that you are able to see all of them. And let's talk about them individually, so you can understand where I'm coming from while I rank the movies. So the first one, which has the red background, it says awful but very entertaining. So what I mean is when I put a movie on that row is that this movie is so bad it's funny. It's, so bad it's good. Mwah, the best kind of garbage. You get what I'm saying? So that is that. And the second one is bad but not that bad. What I mean, this movie could be bad, with maybe acting, maybe story wise, but I can still see why people would like it. Like it's bad, but not too bad for me to hate and be so passionate about it. And the third one is something to talk about with my friends. Well, I don't know if I can, get into more details, but you get what I think you know relatively what I mean. It's basically not too bad, but bad enough for you to complain about it with your friends, for you to have a quick conversation, to not, to something to talk about when you're running out of things to say, basically. And the fourth thing is a waste of time. And I don't think I have to explain also much what I mean with that. It's just not even worth to hate watch. Like, even if you don't like the idea of that movie, it's just a waste of time because most of those romance movies are 2 hours long, okay? That is way too long to waste. Like, nah. And the last one, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. And what I mean by that is that it's so bad that it's not good. Like it's just bad, so bad in a bad way. Like the whole story maybe doesn't even exist or it's just messy. It's boring. Like everything happens but nothing really happens at the same time, if you get what I'm saying. Like the dialogue, the acting, nothing is good, and you see examples for each row in a few, maybe even a few seconds, who knows. But yeah, let's go to the first movie and let's rank it. Again, the first movie that we're gonna talk about is the 50 Shades. I don't know why I did that. It's the 50 Shades movie. And yeah, it's just, I don't know. The movie is, it's something. Like it is very, it's just bad. It's just bad in the best way. Like honestly, it's just peak garbage. Believe me, this movie is just so unintentionally funny. It's just hilarious. Please watch it. It's just so bad. Let's put that obviously to awful, but very entertaining. I mean, the movie is 2 hours, still long, but you will have a blast, believe me. And the second movie, the After movie, I have a weird relationship with that series. I don't know why. Like love hate, because I do love toxic relationships, but but only on the media, obviously. Like in real life, I don't think I would ever go for a bad boy. The movie itself is really really boring, and I'm gonna put it on a waste of time because nothing really happens. This movie is basically about two people getting closer and closer and closer to having sex with each other. Like I don't even believe that they are in love because they just don't give me those, because they don't really seem to be in love. That is what I feel like they're confusing. They're confusing sexual attraction with romantic attraction. And because I guess their sex is relatively decent, that's why they think they're in love. That's what I believe. So yeah, that's why it's a waste of time. Like, anyways, let's go to the next one. 365. That one is, the movie is based a definition of Stockholm syndrome. Like, Google should, if someone types in Stockholm syndrome, this movie should be one of the top tier results. You get what I'm saying? Because that's just basically what the movie is about. It's basically about this alpha male mafia boss who falls in love with this brat, spoiled girl. I don't even know how to describe Laura's personality because there isn't really anything. She just likes to work. That's it. That's what we know. And she also likes sex. That's it. Honestly, the same thing with Massimo. Like, we also don't know anything about him. We don't know what he does. We don't know. He doesn't really seem to have any family members. I mean, yes, he has someone, I guess, has a relative, but he doesn't like him very much. Yeah, again, there's nothing really to this movie. It's just about him kidnapping this girl, and they fall in love with each other. That's it. That's the end. And they have amazing sex. That's it. I guess good for you. This is like basically a fantasy movie, obviously. But still, it's not all that. I mean, I would say it's not bad, but not that bad. Like, again, I can see why people would like this movie. It's, again, all about fantasy. It's not supposed to be realistic and stuff like that. So I guess if you want to be in your head again, go ahead. You know, enjoy your time watching this movie. My cousin actually recommended me that movie, and I was just laughing the whole time, you know, because I was so confused why she would recommend me that movie. But again, if people like it, I guess, you know, you can like it. I'm not judging too hard. But I was just so in disbelief because the only reason why you would want to watch this movie is the boat scene, and I will talk about it when we will talk about that when I'm ranking the sex scenes. Anyways, after the next movie, 50 Shades Darker. What can I say to this movie? It's just, this movie isn't, I would say it's bad, but not that bad. Like, it's sadly not hilariously bad. Like, it is not that funny. I mean, yes, it is actually funny, but the funny scenes, or the unintentional funny scenes, that you say it like that, are the sex scene. Like, they made me laugh so much because that's just so bad. For a movie that is focused on sex, those sex scenes are just so bad. Like, no, I will talk about it later, but I just wanted to say it. The movie is not funny like the first time, and yeah, Christian Grey really appears so much as a stalker in that one. I mean, in the first movie as well, but especially in the second one. Like, girl, like, she shouldn't have, like, the things that he said and his actions are not even red flags anymore. Those are like emergency signs. Like, get out. Like, why are you with this dude? It doesn't make sense why you want him, you know, that kind of thing. But still, again, that's not really that important to the plot. The plot itself, what happens in the movie. I mean, I guess it's relatively entertaining because there's like a stalker who is after Anastasia, and also after, I get now, who is only after Anastasia because of Christian Grey. And there's also this weird creepy boss and stuff like that. You know, there's definitely things happening outside of the sex thing, but still not good enough for me to watch it. But again, it's bad, but not that bad. I can see why people would still like this movie, you know. So, off to the next movie, which is the sequel to After We Collided. And this one is just so bad in the best way. And I'm gonna put it to awful but very entertaining because it is so entertaining. I saw it in theaters with my friends and it was just so hilariously bad. Like in a way that they kept fighting and they kept breaking up and made up, and they broke up and they made up and they broke up and they made up, and you could tell that they're just so awful at communicating. They couldn't even tell each other like the simplest things. I don't know why. I mean, I can understand that they never had good role models to show them how a healthy relationship is, but still, like you don't really need to be an Einstein to understand that you need to maybe, be honest with your partner. But anyways, that's something else. I think I will do a video on that. But anyways, until then, yeah, it's awful but entertaining, and it's just funny. Everything about this movie is just so funny. You will have a good time. You can even make it turn it into a drinking game when you watch it with your friends. By the way, I did that with my friends with He's All That, and it was funny. I mean, in general, if you watch bad movies with your friends, it doesn't even matter what kind of bad the movie is, it will usually always be entertaining. That's what I've noticed. So shout out to you two, you know who you are. And yeah, let's continue on with the sequel to 365. And that came out not long ago, a few weeks ago actually, and it was so bad, but not in a good way. It was just bad in a very, very bad way, and I'm so disappointed because, like, again, I've read so many mafia stories, like that had a good plot and also good sex scenes. So I don't understand why they had to pick this book and turn it into a movie when there were so many other good ones out there, like there could have been so many ways this movie could have been entertaining. Then the first half of the movie, it was basically how happy Laura and Maspo were, and then all of a sudden there's like this, evil twin brother that we have never heard of, who has, I guess, who pretended to be Massimo for a second, and she caught him having sex with someone, and she ran away thinking Massimo cheated on her, and yeah, she left with this Nacho guy. It was kind of sad that she never actually hooked up with him because he was just so fine. Bro, like if I found out if I thought my husband is cheating, and like it's not even like that she thought he was cheating, she saw that she was bald Steve and someone else. Bitch, and if I had a guy who treated me like Nacho and looked like Nacho, bitch. Anyways, back to the I don't know why I'm explaining the plot. But yeah, that's it. And then after that, the movie is just all over the place. There's no real plot. There's just a lot of sex scenes. It's just so bad. So I'm gonna put that in. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. Let's go to the last two movies, which is 50 Shades Freed. Yeah, that movie. Well, I guess it's fine. Like, something happens in the last 30 minutes or something, and before that it was just basically a montage of Anna and Christian having fun being married. And also what I really was so confused is that Christian and Anna apparently after they're married had the baby conversation. Like, why would you get married to someone without asking them if they want to have children? That is the dumbest thing that I've ever. No. Like, I'm sure that Anna isn't that dumb and Christian either. It's a waste of time. It's the same old shit. If you have seen the first two movies, you have basically, we can skip that one. You can already tell that they will marry and have a child, and she is also at the very end pregnant, and I guess that live happily ever after. And the third after movie. So, that movie, I watched it also with my friends in the cinema. Let me tell you, this movie is just so boring. Like, I think they, one of those, the people who are responsible of the movie probably saw a lot of the backlash and the complaints that people had about this relationship being toxic. I mean, they are still sometimes a bit toxic in this movie, but not as toxic compared to the second movie, you know? So they toned down the toxicity a lot down, like, but the thing is, when you remove the toxicity of that movie, of the relationship, then there's nothing really else to say or for them to do, you know, because if Hardin and Tessa are like happily in love with each other and it's all roses and rainbows, then there has to be like external conflict, you know. There has to be someone else outside of the relationship has to test them, you know, maybe a love triangle, or, you know, the conflict with the father of Tessa or the mother of Tessa, or I don't know, someone else. That would have definitely like made the movie just a tiny bit interesting, but it just didn't do that. I don't know why. So this movie was just so fucking boring, because in the first 45 minutes Tessa and Hardin kept fighting which city they should live in, either in Seattle or in London. And the thing is, both of those things are like completely different thing, you know. It's not like they can compromise on one thing really. So yeah, they kept making arguments why they should not move to Seattle and why they should move to London. Well, actually, that there wasn't really any argument why he wants to move into London. It makes sense for him to go there, but like for Tessa it doesn't, because she has nothing there. I mean, yes, she has Hardin's mother, but that's it. She doesn't have any friends. She doesn't have really school. She doesn't have a future there. You know, it makes sense why she doesn't want to go there, especially because she has a job offer in Seattle. Obviously, she said, "No, I'm gonna go to Seattle because that's where my future is, and I always wanted to move to Seattle. So, you know, if you come, it would be nice. If you don't, I'm still gonna go." And then in the end of the movie, also moved to Seattle. So the movie was basically just them fighting about that, and it just was so boring. It was just so boring. So I wouldn't wish them on my worst enemy. I kind of didn't put a movie in something to talk about with your friends. Ooh, that is interesting. I didn't expect that, but whatever. So yeah, that was that. And let's rank the sex scenes. So to get it quick out of the way, hands down, 365 has the best sex scene. I mean, the boat scene was really good. I have to give it that to them, because for a movie that is all about sex, it should have at least good sex scenes, and that movie kind of delivered, you know, because I mean, if you have seen the movie, you know, you understand. So I'm gonna do that and give it the number one spot. So the second one, I would say 50 Shades of Grey. But the thing is, that's also one of my complaints about this movie, is you have to also think about the time when the trailer dropped. Everyone and their mama, especially their mama, was talking about this movie, you know. Like, it was just so hyped. Like, it even has 100 million views on the first 50 Shades trailer. Like, at that time, even today, that is a lot of views for a movie, you know. So that just was, I just wanted to tell you that it was that much big of a deal, so. And obviously, someone who read a lot of fan fiction and a lot of smut in on Tumblr or on Wattpad or whatever, I was so excited when this movie got announced, because like, oh, a fan fiction turned into a movie. I was like really into it as a teenager, but when I saw the movie, it's just like it was decent. Like, it was decent. The sex scenes are decent, but my main complaint is that the whole thing about 50 Shades of Grey is that the protagonist, the male, the guy in the relationship is supposed to be this billionaire, kinky guy. Like, he even had a whole contract. He had a whole multiple pages on like a list of things he wanted to do to Anna, and she had to basically, like, they had to have a meeting. They had to have a meeting in order to discuss what is a no-no and what is a go-go. I don't know why I said that, but you get what I'm saying. So when I saw the long list of things and stuff like that, and the things that were mentioned as well in the meeting, I had like, I was like, ooh, what? I was so curious on how that's gonna go, but what really annoyed me is when it came to the sex scenes, it is just in the beginning, yeah, he uses toys or equipment here and there, but most of the times after he uses it, he just immediately has uses the basic of basic sex position, like missionary and doggy. Like, those things are so basic. I just couldn't believe what I was seeing with my eyes, because like, he was supposed to be this kinky nasty man, right? Like, that had to make a contract to keep the sex life of his a secret, and yet he's there doing a normal missionary position. Like, it was decent, but for a movie that was known to be about kinky sex, it just disappointed me. Like, I expected their sex life to be like in the 365 movie. That is the level that I expected, but whatever. Anyways, but yeah, that was the second best. Interesting enough, the third best, I would say, is 365 This Day. The sequel to the other one. And I would say, we have to, even though this movie is just down bad, it's just horrible. Again, it's not worth 2 hours, sweetie. You can skip the other stuff, I guess, and only watch the sex scenes. But again, then why wouldn't you just watch porn? Might as well watch porn, honestly. But yeah, the sex scenes, in my opinion, was still relatively good. But yeah, that was the only good thing about this movie. Otherwise, you can throw that shit away and get out of my face. Then it only gets worse. So I would say the fourth thing, I guess, is the first After movie. And the reason is, it's not too bad, but it's also not good either. It was relatively decent, mediocre, it's nothing too much to complain, because it's one of their first sexual experience, I think. So it's going to be a bit awkward. It's not really going to be that passionate. It's going to be a little bit awkward, and also a bit shy for the other girl, because she has never done anything like that, so it makes sense. And the next one is, honestly, 50 Shades Darker. That one, like I mentioned previously, the sex scenes in this movie, so bad it's funny. Like, I really had to laugh at some points, and it wasn't intentional. Like, those scenes weren't meant to be funny, but it was just so bad. I couldn't help it. The next movie will be also, yeah, also 50 Shades Raid, because I mean, again, the sex scenes again were also, I mean, some of them actually were relatively decent, mediocre again, but not too bad for me to laugh at, like, I could take it a little bit seriously, but it wasn't all that bad compared to the After series. And I would say the better ones had, yeah, the second After movie, After We Collided, definitely wasn't too bad. I mean, I would say that after I had to watch the movie for this video, I had to watch them again, right? And what I noticed is just how sad the sex scenes were. And what I'm trying to say, and what I mean is how, like, the way that this sex scene slowly starts off is usually very sad, and there's like one scene that stands out, like, really out in the second movie, and it's like where Tessa and Torden are at her office, and she was like, hey, you have been so kind and nice to me today, can you please, like, behave like that every day so I can maybe reconsider us coming back together as a couple? And he was like, nah. And it was just so, I was there like, what? What did he say? And he was like, nah, I mean, I will not be like that, but I will still try for you, basically. And I was just there like, what? And she just kissed him and she had sex with him immediately. That was one of the saddest like, one of the saddest scenes I've ever seen. Like, the way that the stuff like that she tolerates and expects from him is like the bare minimum, but he even cannot reach that minimum. It's just so, like, I'm always at the verge of crying because it's just so sad. And there was also like the other scene in the third movie where Tessa had to pick up her alcoholic boyfriend and father up from a bar, because they were there. I don't know why they were there. Like, why would you take your girlfriend's alcoholic father to a bar? Make it make sense. And Tessa was basically asking them, like, hey, when they were back at home, like, basically saying, like, hey, why did you drop him off a bar? Why did you do that? And then they also ended up in a fight with a complete stranger, because obviously he had to make a comment on Tessa and how attractive she is and what the things that he likes to do with her. And Harden basically said, like, made a joke about that, and it turned into this cute moment, which is so, I would never had, because, like, Tessa was way too calm. I would have went off on both of them. Like, imagine your father coming back to you after 9 years, telling you that he wants to, build a relationship with you, but as soon as you're gone, he goes to a bar. Even though alcohol is the whole reason why he even left in the first place. I would have been livid. I would have kicked him out as soon as as soon as I found that out. And basically, to make it short, after she picked them both up from the bar and she like confronted Harden, like saying, hey, you shouldn't have done that. He was like, he made a whole weird dumb joke, and she had to laugh, and he was like pulling her closer and then had sex. Bruh, that is so sad in every single way. Like, how low the standards have to be to accept that bullshit? Nah, I cannot blame her too much, but again, at some point you gotta hit rock bottom, and I'm wondering where that rock bottom is, or does it even exist for Tessa. Like, honestly, like, there's a point where you just cannot accept bullshit anymore, and if it was Tessa, I would have already passed that a long time ago. Because every time she's not with Harden, she's just thriving, and I don't understand why I guess she probably feels like she has to be there for Harden, if you get what I'm saying. But that's a completely other thing, and I will also make a whole nother video about that. But yeah, After We Fell has definitely the worst sex scenes out of all of those. Like, it's just undescribably bad. Like, and yeah, that is it for today. Thank you for watching, and have a good day or have a good night. Bye.